Last time we had a review of an MPV on this channel. It was a Toyota Sienta. And this is what you guys had to say. Unlike the Toyota Sienta, this car is only produced in Japan. And the biggest question we're here to answer today is, if the Toyota Sienta was ugly, how will the 2017 Honda Freed match up to the Toyota Sienta? Welcome to another special edition of Mama Mboga na Boda Boda Hustler edition of Conversation. So this is a Thursday episode that we cater for all your budget cars. This review had been made possible by KDG Imports. So if you want to buy this car, reach out to KDG Imports, again opposite Prestige Plaza, Long Gong Road, and find a guy called IBRAH KDG. I think he'll give you a very good deal if you're going to buy any car from KDG Imports as well. So the question is, how does the Honda Freed compare or stack up against the Toyota Sienta? And before I get into this review, I want to create a bit of an analogy. Normally in Kenya, we are used to buying Toyotas, and I think Toyota Sienta has had a very good history on our Kenyan market, ferrying people, ferrying luggages. But I think from 2016, Toyota Sienta got an upgrade and some few changes came to it. One of them was how it looked, and the second one was they ditched an automatic transmission and they kicked in a CVT. And of course, just like the Probox, there was a bit of a reaction, a negative reaction to that, because haikuwa punda, as guys used to love it before. And that brings us to this particular car. So the Honda Freed has been a car that most people have not been looking at in the market. I agree, the previous model was a bit ugly, but this is a swapped up, a bit polished version of the second generation Honda Freed. And from the onset, the Honda design language going on again. As always, you said, most automakers right now are trying to rally their design language into one simpler look. So same thing goes for the Honda design language on any Honda that you'll buy right now, be it the Freed, be it the Honda Fit. I think this kind of design will be going on. You have a shiny plastic on the grille with a small vent grille down here that allows you proper cooling for your car and radiator. And then one thing, and this is a debate that we had, and you guys said we have a weird taste when it comes to cute and beautiful. So we called this Toyota Sienta cute and beautiful, and you guys had nothing to like about it. So unlike the Sienta, which has a catfish face that hangs on the lower with weird colors, this is quite subtle and easy. I would loved it if it had fog lights, but this one doesn't come with fog lights. But what it has here is an adaptive cruise sensor. So this is the sensor that allows you to follow and track all the cars that are in front of you. One thing, these are normal HID headlights, but around it you have an LED daylight running strip, which makes this car look awesome and beautiful. I don't know, give me comments. Do you think this car looks much better than the Toyota Sienta? And before you answer that, just take note, and I'll ask Fabian to put those photos on the side here. There's a version of this car that is called the Honda Freed Modulo, and that one is the sportier version of the Honda Freed, and oh my, it looks awesome and beautiful. Let's roll to the side profile and see what does the Honda Freed provide as an alternative or as a challenge to the Toyota Sienta. One thing that maybe it loses out obviously is what you get here. So hizi ni rims za mabati, so you get mabati rims with this cover plate on top. Again, but I know the premium models of this, you can get it with alloy rims. So this comes to the basic versions of the Honda Freed. You have your hybrid badge. This is a hybrid version, and then you have your LED tiny blinker on the side mirror, electric, quite nice. So in comparison to the Toyota Sienta, again, the Honda Freed is almost similar in terms of length with Toyota Sienta. So you're not losing much if you choose to buy this or buy the Toyota Sienta. But where this car wins hugely is what you get between here and here, because this one is 10 centimeters long higher. Is it taller than the Toyota Sienta? So that makes the cabin space feel a bit more spacious when you're driving here. Mbugo's enjoying the space and the feel of just being in this particular car, and that is courtesy of the elongated height because of the extra 10 centimeters that you get. Something else about ground clearance. So this is an MPV. It's a multi-purpose vehicle. It means it can be used to ferry family, or sometimes you can use it to have, to perform your business errands, because it has enough space to do that. So the standard height, bump height, or the standard height that you need to cross over bumps za Kenya, it's actually 6.5 inches of ground clearance, and this particular one comes in with 6.4. So there is a 0.1. Is it a 0.1? No, a 0.1 difference in terms of what you need to get this car to sit in the right position. But of course, that can be mitigated by having, extra coil springs or aftermarket coil springs that can change the dynamics of your ground clearance from what you have here to maybe an inch higher, which can make this car quite practical when it comes to our Kenyan roads. Do I need to talk about tires? I think, what is the size? This size 15 wheels on the Sienta. Let's talk about suspension. So what you get as a suspension setup on this car is at the front we have our conventional McPherson strut, which is the simplest form of suspension that you need on any car, that will always work and will never give you problems. If you cross over to the European guys, you get things like double wishbone, and that is a superior suspension system, but it has more moving parts, so meaning your cost of repair is also higher. And what do you have at the rear suspension? So what you have here is a torsion beam suspension system. It's not independent, but that will allow you carry your heavy luggages or heavy people in this particular car. So come on to the rear of this car, and here is where we need to have a bit of a debate again. And I need you guys to do a vote. Pale comments, give me your votes. What do you think between this particular face and what you get on the Toyota Sienta? Which one looks nice? I reckon each has its own unique ways of appearance. But if you notice the Sienta, you have the same catfish thing going on at the front with weird colors and strips. I think you'll have something of similar on the side of the Sienta. When it comes to this car, it's subtle, it's easy, it's attractive, and that is made possible by these LED taillights that work brighter when you step on your brakes when you're driving in front of any car. So now there's something that you look at and see. Here we have the Honda Freed Plus. What is a Honda Freed Plus? Because normally you'll just get a Honda Freed without a plus. So this car comes in different seating configurations. So you can buy this car with a 5-seater configuration. You can buy this car with a 6-seater configuration with captain seats from the front all the way to the rear. And the last one, you can get this car in a 7-seater configuration. From the onset, I'll tell you, as a matter of preference, and this is to me, I don't like the 7-seater configuration because I think it's crammed up and it won't give you value in terms of what you need to do with this particular car. But what will work mostly is this particular configuration. This is a 5-seater configuration, hence the word Freed Plus. The previous generation of this car, the first generation, they didn't call it the Freed Plus. It was called the Freed Spike. So this particular Freed Plus came to replace what we call the Freed Spike. So this is a 5-seater configuration. We have your hybrid badge. So this is a hybrid model of the Honda Freed. Let's talk about practicality, because that's where it gets interesting. There you go. So I don't even know where to start, guys, because if there's one thing that this car shines in is in terms of practicality. Remember, we talked about how higher the roofline of this particular car is, and that extends all the way to the practicality in terms of the boot space that you get, or the trunk space that you get in the Honda Freed. And not only is that possible, there's something that you need to look at here. So you have a lifted version of the boot where if you close this door, then you only access this top part. But if you want to haul more luggage, then you can get rid of the entire thing, and then this car becomes, I don't know, I want to try and see if I can stand here, Mbugua. But look, That's how tall this car is from inside. I'm 6'2", again I remind you, and I can nimechuchuma kidogo, it's not that bad. That's how tall and huge this trunk space is. And you can see the roof is also lowered, it's quite low, so it makes it easy for you to put in luggage and put out. Imagine kama ni gunia mahindi, you know, quite easy, comes out. And that is one wonderful thing. And one thing I need to talk about this and why it's important is this is a 5-seater configuration. So if you bought this car in a 6-seater configuration, it means the second row of seat will be in a captain sitting position, meaning you'll have one seat and one seat. But this one is a 3-seater configuration for the back. And then hapa nyuma utakuwa na 2 more captain seats. When you want practicality for the 6-seater configuration, it means you have to bring up the seat. I think Fabian will put a picture of that. So this seat comes this way and the other seat comes this way. So it leaves you with this narrow, you know, space at the center. But because these are 5-seater configuration, if you don't have a big family and you're not hustling with, you know, setting up, carrying 6 people in the car, you just need to haul 4 or 5 people and have massive storage space, then this will be the ideal car to buy. But if you're a guy who wants to haul 6 people, just know that the boot space will be a bit compromised when it comes to how you can carry or how many things you can carry at the rear of this particular car. Let's talk about the engine options that you get on this car and the transmission options and see how does it really compare to the Toyota Sienta. The biggest difference between the Toyota Sienta and the Honda Freed is what you find under the hood of this particular car. And here, I think the two automakers were going after 2 different tests and 2 different people. Whereas the Toyota Sienta is more of a cool, chilled out MPV, this particular car, or this version of the Honda Freed, is one awesome and beautiful car to drive. Not only is it powerful, but it's also thrilling. It comes with a proper transmission that most people in the market love. So what you find in the 2017 Honda Freed Hybrid is one special engine. Just like what you find in the Honda Fit Hybrid, you find the same engine. It's the same engine you'll find in most Hondas. By the way, this car shares a lot of parts with cars like the Honda Vezel, so it's based on the same platform. So parts compatibility will be something that you'll enjoy if you choose to buy the Honda Freed, especially from 2016 onwards. So this engine is referred to as the codename LEB-H1, but you can also get this car with an L15. An L15 is an unhybrid, but a hybrid version is called the LEB-H1. And one special thing about this engine, I think there are several special things, and one of them is the fact that this car uses the Atkinson cycle. Again, you remember when we did the review of the Toyota Sienta Hybrid or the review of the Toyota Aqua. You remember we talked about how the Atkinson cycle works, and the Atkinson cycle is a formulation of an engine that prefers efficiency over performance. But hold there, unlike the Toyota Atkinson cycle, which really, you know, makes you lose a lot of power and performance, Honda have something up their sleeves. The second bit that you'll get on this engine is what they call the IDCD. So it is the Honda calls it sporty, intelligent, dual clutch drive. So this car comes with an automatic dual clutch transmission paired to this particular engine, and that is only for hybrid models. If you buy the non-hybrid model, then you're getting it with a CVT. And that brings me to one last thing. So why is this engine quite interesting? The Toyota Sienta caps up at 100 HP only. But when you buy this car, this particular engine only gives you 109 HP and around 134 Newton meters of torque. That is on the engine. But that's not where Honda stops, because paired to this engine is a hybrid system. And that hybrid system adds on top of what you get in terms of the numbers and the figures. The hybrid system gives you 29 horsepower extra and around 160 Newton meters of torque. Now, if you do the math, the total power output on this particular car is around 135 HP and 270 Newton meters of torque. I know the total will bring it around 297, but of course when you do the combination of the engine and the electric motor and the hybrid battery, you will lose a bit. So Honda says the maximum output in terms of torque that you get on this car is 275 Newton meters of torque. And so, unlike your Toyota Sienta, this one will eat the Toyota Sienta morning for breakfast, and then evening it will take your Vitz RS for lunch, and then in the evening while you're still driving for supper, it might actually take on your Harrier for supper, because it's quite powerful, and Honda claims it can actually zoom from 0 to 100 in 9.9 seconds. I can't wait to test that and just confirm, can it do a below or a sub 10 0 to 100. So I can't imagine me buying the sportier version of this particular car, the Modulo, that runs on the same particular engine. It looks sportier, better and nicer than any MPV in the market, and it can perform the way this car performs, and on top of that it comes in a dual clutch transmission for an MPV. Come on, Honda doing things, eh? I know you guys love the automatic transmission you get on Mazdas, but on this front, the only car that competes with this car is the Mazda Primacy, which is a car that behaves like a Nissan in the morning and in the evening behaves like a Mazda. I'm not sure if that is the way you guys want to go, but I want to say without fear of contradiction that this is a car that I will definitely buy or get for a small family, or anybody who has a small family and a small business, or a business that can dual boot between the two. I think this is a perfect car, and at the same time, if you're a driver or an enthusiast somewhere along the way, I think this car will make your perfect choice. So before I take you into the interior of the Honda Freed, I'll just tell you that this car comes in a variety of trims. The basic one, and this particular one that we are looking at, is what we call the G. And then you have the next version, which is the X. X, I think few changes here and there, but most significantly it comes with LED headlights. And then you have the G Aero, which is a sportier version or a more swept up version of the G. And then you have the EX, which is the most executive or premium trim of the Honda Freed. So because these are G, you get an electric door on one side, and on the other side you only get a mechanical or manual door to open. And as a Kenyan, I prefer that setup for two reasons. In case this one fails, I have a manual one I can use to access my car, because this mambo ya stima na mambo ya electrics, from what I've seen on the W211, I will not want any electronics on my car. So let's talk about the practicality that you get. Best with the fact that you can open this door, it gives you an ample space for even a tall person to just zoom in. You know, a tall person here, I'm talking about myself, 6'2". I can just zoom in and show you how practical this car is. It is spacious. You can see, I told you it has a long or high roof, and that can be shown exactly by my sitting position. I'm 6'2" again. The legroom is quite good and accommodative. It's an MPV, so it's a long and then it's tall, so it gives you all the awesome vibes. You can recline the seats if you want to. So there's a lever here. You can pull the seat. Imekataa kwenda, there he is. Kama we ni mama, you can sit like this, because that's how you sit at the front. Alafu pia kama umechoka, you can pull it on the end, and then you can sit comfortably and enjoy your ride. There's nothing going on at the center, so you won't get your headrest, and this sits split in a 3/4 configuration in case you want to haul more luggage at the rear. But the only bad thing is they don't disappear entirely, so they don't like go flat out. So the much you can do is just lift it. Now we kunje hivo, and that's the maximum you can get. You can also pull it iende mbele, but that's the farthest. Like this is, and I feel this is where it loses a bit of points. I'm not sure how the Sienta works in this configuration, but I think in this category they all act up the same way. So there's nothing much going on. One thing I would have loved to have at the rear, I don't know, is it because of the budget or what, but one thing I would have loved to have is maybe some air controls, like how do I get air to this location? Does the rear? Nothing. So it means when you sit here, the only thing you're working with is the air from the front. Kind of dumb, right? If it's supposed to carry family. Honda. And before I share or show you how the front of this car looks and why I really love this particular look and feel in comparison to what you get in the Toyota Sienta, just remind you, being a multi-purpose vehicle and good for family, you have your hidden ISOFIX points, but they're there, so you just have to find them. One here, one there, and the third one there, so you can fit comfortably 2 seats. Bugu anapanga kuzaa watoto 10, so sijui atawabeba wengine kwa boot. The good thing is the boot is low. We can squeeze some few tumbuguas there as well. So let's check out the front of this car and see, does it match up the Toyota Sienta, or does it clean the Toyota Sienta in terms of how it accommodates you. The guys in Japan need to get rid of these people that speak inside the car, because we don't understand anything they're saying. Clearly, there is a lot that has been borrowed from the Honda Step Wagon. Immediately you step into the Honda Freed. And one thing that I love about the Honda Step Wagon that has been translated fully into the Honda Freed is the ability to have an open viewpoint. So kumbuka Step Wagon ilikuwa na blind side kubwa. It had a very serious blind side around this area. So what in the Freed Honda has done is they've created an open space which can allow you to just look through and see the position that you're driving towards. And that adds on to the safety that you get when you're buying this car. The design here, again, an extended dashboard that puts your cluster quite far away from where you're sitting. And I don't know, probably they were cheating. They didn't want to use the budget ya kuweka the heads-up display. So they went after extending your cluster to put it farthest from you so that you don't have the need to actually have your heads-up display, which works for me. I think it's a digital cluster. It displays all the necessary things you need when you're driving this car, from the speed, from the energy that you're harnessing from regenerative braking, all that. I think you can get it there, plus the fuel economy. Hard plastic at the top, hard plastic that I know will last forever. There is a mixture of a bit of a different unique style of plastic here with a gray streak that runs all the way across the dashboard. But one thing I can tell you is when they designed this car is they knew you'll be carrying a very active passenger at the front, because the amount of storage that they have put here. So let's talk about the storage compartments. Kama kawaida wamekuwekea kitu hapa ya kuchana in case you have your njugus and you have your stuff, you know. And I have the only thing I'm missing is something to drink, and you know, I have water. But if I had a Coke, it would have been okay. If I have had a Fanta, I've seen what you guys are doing. It would have been awesome. But of course, that is something you can use. And then you have one storage compartment here. If you don't want to carry your paraphernalia here, mapolisi wanaweza kuuliza, you can gladly, you know, hide it there, and you can just be opening to collect when it's necessary. But one thing again, extra, your glove compartment. The style of cup holders on this car is something I love. So unlike other cars where you get your cup holders here, you have one for the center in case you want to do that. I don't know who will be using this, because at the rear no one has any cup holder, but they have made one very unique that you just, this one is quite ideal, especially for driving. It makes it easy. So uko tu hapa, you know, you're yammering your guys who have, you know, Sientas on the road with your dual clutch 7-speed automatic transmission, and all you can do is just pick and put it back. I feel putting here versus putting here, I think here it's more easier and quite comfortable. And you have one for your passenger as well. You have cloth seats, quite comfortable. They tuck you in, they make you sit well. And one thing I love about this sitting position in the Honda Freed is it gives you more of a commanding seat. So you're sitting, you know, you're sitting upright. It doesn't give you the car-like, you know, smooth, laid-back position to sit in. So this is a commanding position, and your legs are straight down. And I think this is something that happens on every multi-purpose car, be it a crossover SUV, an SUV. This is the position you sit in. But if you were to buy, let's say, which car? even the smaller version of Mercedes Benzes, like what you get, like the B180, this is the same sitting position. It doesn't give you the car feel of a sitting position. So you don't get a center console that gives you an opportunity to lay your hands there, but you get your seat handrest, which works. I think the most ideal thing you want here is to have this, but if you're a person who is big, again, they have made it possible. You can lift it up and then you can sit comfortably and drive your car. There's nothing much to talk about this interior. I think one thing that it's obviously straightforward when you sit in the Honda Freed in comparison to when you sit in the Toyota Sienta is the curvature or the way the windscreen flows into the car. I think this, because of the high roof, it makes you feel like you have enough space around you. But the Toyota Sienta, I think it's quite close. You feel a bit enclosed, and that idea of having space in this particular car is one factor that will make me consider buying this particular car. So the only thing that we're left to do is drive this car and tell you, does it again hold up to the qualities of the Honda design language? How does it perform in terms of 0 to 100? How is it good in terms of cancelling noises, bringing all the extra noises into the cabin, and what exactly is the drive feel when you're driving this particular car? So let's drive this car and see how it performs against its competition. So exactly how does it feel to drive the 2017 Honda Freed? There are a few things I didn't expect to find in this car, and one of them is the quality of cushioning. So the sound cushioning in this car is just marvelous. Marvelous. For the budget of 1.6, it's surprising how good it feels to be in this car. The second thing is, of course, the visibility. I know it feels like I'm driving a step wagon with better visibility. So it's that's how it feels. I can see I'm sitting in a commanding position, and I can just see everything everywhere, which is not normal. I'm not used to this, but it's just awesome. It adds on to the value proposition of actually buying this car. But something else that is also amazing is the drive quality and the comfort, the suspension feel. Everything about this car doesn't feel like 1.6 million. It actually drives quite well, picks up quite well. But I need us to talk about something controversial. Remember back then in the time, manual transmissions were the in thing, and the reason why I'm telling this story is because most of the time you'll hear people say, CVTs are the transmissions that make sure you get epic fuel economy. CVTs were meant for fuel economy, which is true. I don't dispute that. But that doesn't negate the fact that there is an alternatives to the CVT that still offer an almost equivalent or closer fuel economy numbers. And that transmission is what we have in this car, the dual clutch transmission. So back to the story. So back then, we used to know that manual transmission cars were good in terms of fuel economy. And the gist around it was, unaweza endesha weke free, you understand? And ideally, the concept behind it is with manual transmissions, you could actually control the rotation of the engine based with how you shift gears. So if you don't want to have a lot of fuel consumed, then it means you'll keep your car at almost low RPMs every time you shift your gear, and that meant that you get very nice fuel economy. Now what you have here is actually a manual transmission with one aspect of an automated transmission. So that is the dual clutch system that you get here. So it gives you both worlds. It gives you a version of the manual transmission on one side because it has actual gears, and then on the other side it gives you an automated system that shifts the gears in a quick, fast way. And that comes to the driving dynamics. Now when you're driving your Sienta, it's I'm taking a corner at 80. Okay, there's significant body roll, but now the dual clutch transmission adds on to the vibe and the driver centric nature that this car provides. The Sienta will just be meh, utaenda tu meh, but this one you actually feel the shifts, you actually feel the car doing some things, and that that is one added element of actually you owning and buying the Honda Freed. Away from that, the multifunctional steering adds onto the vibe. You have your cruise control, everything's here, the volume button, you can do all those things here. And then just below the steering, that's where you can adjust everything you see on your digital cluster. You know, the cloth here adds on to the driving comfort, but not much. It just adds on to a good feel. Kieka mkono hapa, you know, most of the time Japanese cars were used to having plastics here, so they are always very uncomfortable when you put your hand here. But hii ukikula kisamosa, you know, it feels quite good when you're driving this car. So the only thing that is remaining to be done is confirm, does it accelerate and drive as good as they say on paper? So let me find a very nice position, and then we do our 0 to 100. So I'm at a usual place. The car is drive. With this hybrid, you don't get sport mode. Oh, those sedan guns. So I'm just going to see, does it drive as good as they say? So let's do this. It's quite silent. I'm used to, when I want to do 0 to 100, the car is growling. So let me see how it goes. There's something else I forgot before I launch. So this particular car, you remember the electric motor I talked about with the battery. So at 0 RPM, right now I have my foot literally slammed down to the bottom, okay, on the accelerator. So I'm fully engaged. At 0 RPM, this car has 160 Newton meters of torque, ready to be unleashed. So the only way I can confirm is release the brake and see what happens. 1, 2, 3. She sounds good. 800. Wow. Okay. Let's see. What does it say? Okay. 0 to 100 in 11.87 seconds. Not bad. I think it has done better than the Outback. Of course, this car is not anything you want to say designed well in terms of aerodynamics, so it's a huge tall car, and yeah, but I felt the power, and you guys could listen to the shifts, how awesome and beautiful the shifts are. Before I sign out and just go and do value for money, let's talk about one significant thing that this car offers, unlike what you will get in a Sienta hybrid. So this car, the hybrid system on this car, again, the Atkinson cycle that Honda uses on this car is quite different from what you get on the Toyota, and that speaks down to the quality and longevity of the hybrid system of the Honda. So unlike Toyota, who want to give you maximum efficiency, so they will prefer to have you drive more on the battery and the electric motor. Honda, what they've done is they give you a balance. So anytime, like right now when I'm coasting slowly at speeds of 30, 40, Honda will switch back to, you know, EV mode, and that maximizes my fuel economy. Technically what they're saying is, kama uko kwa traffic, that's where you enjoy most of your hybridness in this car. But the moment I just put my feet down kidogo, the engine kicks in. So in a Honda, you're getting both the engine, the ICE, the internal combustion engine, and the hybrid system working together in support of each other, and you're not getting a scenario where one is being hugely used and the other one is maybe lessly used. You understand, if lessly is a word but you understand the concept. But in Toyota, most of the time the hybrid system will take a beating, it will take an abuse, because they feel and they know that you guys love fuel economy, so they'll give you the fuel economy you're demanding for, but at the expense of a higher rate of, you know, deterioration in terms of the battery that you get on your Toyota. But in this one, and that's a claim. People say when you drive a Honda, the probability of you living longer with your hybrid system is much better compared to a Toyota, and that is another added value that you get when you buy this particular Honda Freed hybrid. And because of all that shenanigans, because of the dual clutch transmission, the hybrid system, and of course a very nice well balanced engine, Honda says this car is capable of giving you upwards of 28 kilometers to a liter, and that is bananas in terms of fuel economy numbers. And why are these fuel economy numbers crazy to me? Because not only can you do that, get 28 kilometers to a liter, but do it while shifting a dual clutch transmission. What else do you want? So let's talk about value for money and see what is the other value proposition that you get when you choose to buy the Honda Freed over the Toyota Sienta, which is the closest, most powerful competitor of this particular car. So let's talk about value for money. How much will this car set you back if you were to buy it from KDG Import? So this car is being sold at 1.6 million Kenya shillings. Relatively, that's the same price you'll buy the Toyota Sienta. The Primus will be higher than that. I don't know why. But if you compare the Toyota Sienta, which is the closest competitor of this car, I know you'll get it almost at the same price. So where does this car win over the Toyota Sienta? So it's more powerful, it has a dual clutch transmission, and it makes value for any driver oriented or an enthusiast who loves driving cars. This is the car you choose. You're a person who wants practicality, you're a person who enjoys hauling around luggages, or you have a family and you want a car that feels sportier, then this is the car you need to buy. In terms of practicality again and boot space, again, this car takes it home any day, anytime. And if you want to configure it with a 6-seater configuration, again, it gives you more value for money. Considering it comes with captain seats, if you have to choose the 6-seater configuration, again, it adds on to the versatility and functionality of the Honda Freed. So tell me in the comments, would you rather buy this or buy your, I'm not the one who said, you guys said, your ugly, weird colored Toyota Sienta? I don't know. You tell me in the comments. I've been your host Ibrahim Toloi, and on behalf of the entire team at Conversation, na nimesikia siku hizi hamchezi na tiny pesa na mchezi na super chat. Sijui ni kwa nini. Sijui mmeona Mbugu amekuwa mdosi ama ni nini. I have not paid Mbugu a salary, so please, we still have the tiny pesa link at the bottom of this review on the description. So if you care to support the channel, if you care to give us the energy to come again tomorrow and give you another awesome episode, please. Hiyo kujitolea ni moyo na kutoa ni mkono. Wanasema barikiwaye ni yule anayetoa na wala ni yule ambaye hapokei. Sasa mimi sitabarikiwa, lakini watabarikiwa. So what I'm saying in short, if you feel like you want to support the channel, go ahead down there, click on the Time Pesa link, do anything. 1 bob, 10 bob, 5,000, 1 million. We will really appreciate your support. Until next time on Sunday for another exciting episode of Kanisa. And you guys are not ready for the restoration because man, oh man, the car is really coming on perfectly. So see you on Sunday, possibly for 2 episodes or 1 episode. It depends with how you play pale chini Time Pesa. Ama ni watch. Bye.